Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Could you please state your full name for the record?
Crystal Rebecca Moore.
Ms. Moore, can you tell me who your current employer is?
Nationwide Title Clearing.
And how long have you been employed by Nationwide Title Clearing?
7 years.
During the deposition, I'm going to refer to Nationwide Title Clearing as NTC for the purposes of brevity. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. During the 7 years that you've worked for NTC, have you had any other employers during that time?
No.
What is your current job title with NTC?
I'm a notary.
A notary? Do you have any other job titles?
No.
How long have you held the title of notary?
Since September of last year.
Prior to September of last year, what was your title with NTC?
I was a dock inspector.
Dock inspector? How long did you hold the title of dock inspector?
For a few years.
Prior to being a dock inspector, did you have another title with NTC?
I was a processor.
Processor. Prior to being a processor, did you have any other titles with NTC?
No.
I'm going to go ahead and mark this exhibit as Defendants 1.
This makes a standing objection as to relevancy for any line of questioning regarding the assignment of mortgage.
Do you have an extra copy? I think there's one right there. Is that the same? Thanks.
Can you tell me if your signature appears on this document that I've marked as Exhibit 1?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show me or identify where on the document your signature appears?
Right there.
And you're indicating a signature block where it says by Crystal Moore, Vice President. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have any specific recollection of signing this document?
No.
It appears to me that this document was executed on January the 20th, 2009. Would you agree with that?
Objection, but you can answer.
Yes.
And the purpose of my asking that question is to ask you, can you recall what your job title with NTC was around the time this document was executed in January of 2009?
Probably a dock inspector.
Dock inspector. What exactly is a dock inspector?
They make sure that the document is signed and stamped.
And when you say the document, what do you mean?
The document.
Okay. And you're indicating this assignment. So would it be accurate to say that dock inspectors reviewed assignments that were prepared and or executed by NTC?
Yes.
Are there any other types of documents that a dock inspector would be reviewing?
Releases.
Releases? Any other types of documents?
No, those are the two that I checked.
Okay. And when you say checked, what's involved in checking documents as a document inspector for NTC?
Making sure that they're signed and stamped.
Signed and stamped. And when you say stamped, you mean notary stamp?
Notary stamp.
Okay. Do you have any other job duties as document inspector? Or did you at the time that this assignment was executed?
Yes.
Can you tell me about your other duties as document inspector?
Well, it wasn't document inspector. It was while I was doc inspector, I was signing and processing at the same time. Okay,
so to be clear then, while you were acting as a document inspector for NTC, you also had other job duties, not necessarily related to that job title, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your other job duties that you just referred to.
It's signing and processing, like when you sign the document, okay, and then processing and make sure that you're preparing the document.
And when you say preparing a document, what's involved in preparing a document?
You put it on the right routing form. If it needs a mortgage attached, you attach the mortgage. And you put it on the writing form and send it on its way.
Okay. We'll get back to that process in a minute. But let me return your attention to this assignment of mortgage that's been marked as Exhibit 1. It indicates on the bottom, or actually in the middle where your signature appears, that you are Vice President of Citi Residential Lending, Inc. Would you agree that that's what this document says?
Objection, but you can answer.
Yes.
Okay. Were you, in fact, a Vice President of Citi Residential Lending, Inc. when you signed this document?
No.
Okay. If you were not a vice president of Citi Residential Lending when you signed this document, why did you affix your signature to this assignment as vice president?
Because we had a corporate resolution saying that we could sign for them.
Okay. To be clear, have you ever received a paycheck from Citi Residential Lending?
No.
Have you ever had an office at Citi Residential Lending?
No.
Have you ever had a supervisor or a boss that you reported to at Citi Residential Lending?
No.
Have you ever actually spoken to anyone who works for Citi Residential Lending?
No.
But your name appears on this document as a vice president for Citi Residential Lending. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Have you ever worked for any bank or financial institution?
No.
Can you tell me a little bit about your educational background?
Before we do that, did you want me to go ahead and introduce as an exhibit the documents you requested in your subpoena?
We'll get to those later.
Okay.
Thank you. Just briefly, your educational background.
I graduated high school and went to college for a year.
Where did you go to college?
SBC
SBC stands for?
at St. P. College.
Okay. And did you receive a certificate or a degree?
No.
What did you study?
Nothing. It was
In
just the
college?
basic.
General courses?
Yeah.
Do you have any other additional training or education in banking or finance,
No.
real estate,
No.
law?
No.
Have you signed other assignments or other documents as vice president of Citi Residential Lending?
I don't know.
Have you signed assignments or other documents as vice president of any other companies?
Yes.
What companies have you signed as vice president?
I don't know.
You can't recall any?
Mm-mm.
Can you estimate for me the number of different companies that you've signed assignments as vice president?
I don't know.
You don't know. Can you estimate for me how many assignments or other documents in total during your tenure at NTC you've signed as an officer or a vice president of a company?
I don't know.
Is it more than 10?
Yes.
More than 500?
Yes.
More than 5,000?
Yes.
More than 20,000?
Yes.
More than 50,000?
Yes.
And out of those 50,000, the only company that you can recall signing as a vice president or an officer is Citi Residential Lending?
Yes.
If I bring up some specific names, perhaps that will trigger your memory. Have you ever signed any assignments or other legal documents as an officer of MERS, M-E-R-S?
Yes.
How about Bank of America?
No.
PNC?
I don't think so.
Wachovia?
I don't know.
Not sure. So it's possible that you signed some legal documents as a vice president of Wachovia, but you just don't recall.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea as to which companies have authorized you to sign as a vice president?
No.
Who would have that information?
My boss,
And your boss's name is?
Erica Lance.
Erica Lane. How do you know that Citi Residential Lending has authorized you to sign as a vice president of that company?
Because they put me on the document.
You indicated that you do have a recollection of signing documents as an officer of MERS, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever received a paycheck from MERS?
No.
Have you ever had an office with MERS?
No.
Have you ever had a supervisor or a boss that you reported to at MERS?
No.
Do you know specifically what you're authorized to do for MERS?
Just sign the documents.
Do you have any idea specifically what you're authorized to do for Citi Residential Lending?
Just sign the documents.
The assignment we've marked as exhibit number 1 below your signature line indicates that your address is 10801 East 6th Street, Rancho Cucamonga, Cucamonga, California. Do you see where it says that?
Yes.
Have you ever lived in Rancho Cucamonga?
No.
Is that in fact your address?
No.
Was that your address at the time you executed this assignment?
No.
Have you ever had an office in Rancho Cucamonga?
No.
Have you ever received any mail at that address?
No.
Do you have any idea what person or business is located at that address?
No.
Have you ever lived in California at all?
No.
Ever been to California?
No.
Why did you sign this document indicating that your address was in California if that in fact was not your address?
Because my name was on the document.
So it was presented to you to sign and you signed it?
Yes.
Can you tell me where this document was actually signed by you?
Right above my name.
That was poorly worded. Can you tell me the geographical location where you were when this document was signed?
Oh, sorry. At Nationwide Title Clearing
And where is that located?
in Palm Harbor.
And that's in Pinellas County?
Yes.
During the 7 years that you've worked for NTC, during that entire time, have you been located physically in Palm Harbor?
Yes.
Have you ever worked at an office for NTC anywhere else?
No.
Did Citi Residential Lending request that you sign this assignment on their behalf?
Objection.
I don't know.
Who requested that you sign your name on this assignment?
I don't know.
How was this assignment presented to you when you signed it?
It was on a routing form.
A routing form. So a form was attached to this when you signed it?
Not attached. It goes on top to say where we're supposed to mail it.
Okay. So the routing form would be on top of one document or a stack of documents?
It could be both.
Okay. Do you have any recollection as to whether the routing form pertaining to this assignment was on top of a stack of assignments you were signing that day, or it pertained to just this form?
That I don't know.
Not sure. So would it be accurate to say that on any given day at NTC, around the time that you executed this document, you would come into work and be presented with a stack of documents to sign?
They would come throughout the day.